This podcast is highly sponsored by Thriveys. Thriveys is the first mental health product line with affordable products you can use whenever you need something to lean on for emotional or mental support. Currently, we have coloring books of all ages and affirmation mugs. There are some new products coming up, so you need to make sure that you check out Thriveys on Instagram and Facebook so that you don't miss out on the updates. And yes, listener donations are also welcome. You can drop your donation on 0770-338-440. The number is registered in the names of Navu Network. If you're not in Uganda, remember to add the country code +256 770 338 440. Hey, welcome to #Window. This is the #1 African millennial podcast that sits at the intersection of mental health, self-discovery, and personal growth. If you're new here, welcome to your new virtual home. Be sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening in so that you don't miss out on any of the future episodes. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for being the heartbeat of this show. So for the official return of season 5, we are having none other than Diana Mosoba for episode 147. Yes, we are discussing her book Till Death Do Us Part. But before we got into the conversation about the book, she revealed to me what I believe, that is according to me, man, don't come for me, what I believe to be the most expensive price to be paid for lack of self-confidence. Like, dude, okay, I'm not gonna give you the details. That's for you to hear and also gauge whether it's the most expensive you've also had. But from it, she shares the lessons that she learned and continues to prove that as adults, we are a mirror reflection of our childhood experiences. We discuss some of the themes in Till Death Do Us Part and also tapped into how church and society can turn into enablers of domestic violence. Let us get into the conversation. Hi, Diana.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine. Finally, we're here. We did, I don't know, maybe we should call it a test drive. The first conversation we had. And I felt like, you know what?
Been a coffee meeting.
So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Who is Diana Mosoba?
Diana Mosoba is a woman. She's a mother. She's a writer. And she's a traveler.
You don't advocate for sobriety? Mosoba?
Yes, I do.
Mosoba?
Yes. I'm an advocate of good mental health, because there's mental health and then there's good mental health. Mm-hmm. Sober relationships, right. Clean content on social media, mm-hmm. and surround yourself with positive people. It's very important.
It's very important.
Yes.
Is this what you looked like as a child?
I think as a child, I didn't even know I'd get this far. I was a very sickly child, first of all. Any sicknesses that, used to come up, they'd somehow get me. So my immunity was very low. So I was always that sick girl. I didn't even think I'd get to where I am right now. When I look back at how I have grown up and where I have come from, I think I have charted my own path, and it's something that I'm so proud of. I look at my younger self and I'm like, girl, we did it. And we are not done.
Let us talk about the importance of recognizing the milestones that you have achieved. Just this morning, we were, oh my God. And I'm saying we.
We.
We because
it's a we situation, trust me.
Just this morning, someone was trying to call you out on Facebook, talking about things like, I didn't even understand. I think his grammar had issues as well. But then I figured he was trying to compare you to Chinua Achebe and Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
Yeah, I'm a novice. First of all, you cannot compare me to Ngugi or Chinua. Those are literally giants. And they also started from somewhere. They didn't wake up one day and get to where they are. They worked their way up. It's a lot of work. I mean, it's a work in progress. You can't wake up one day and find yourself on top of a mountain. You have to work your way there. Yeah. So for this person to come and tell me you're giving yourself too much hype, you're too proud and you only have one book. Oh my
You know,
God.
initially I have this kind of, I don't know if it's a bad habit. Sometimes I check out someone's profile and I just decide this one is not worth it. So
I do that a lot of
at
times.
first I felt like perhaps I don't have to respond, but I was like, you know what? You can't just let everything slide. Because I noticed he kept going and going and going.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, because he was going as far as saying that you should accept criticism. But that wasn't it.
It was, if someone is criticizing my work, I'd sit at their feet and listen to them because this is something that is going to help me in my next project. But if you're coming there to tell me you're giving yourself hype that you don't deserve, then I'm going to respond to you. I ignore a lot of things. Just the other week, someone, when I was traveling to Dubai, someone was like, "Show us your sponsor." I mean, I've been shouting, this trip is sponsored by Access Travel. So why do you want me to show you who took the photos? Those are, things that people keep saying. And, I ignore them because, I mean, everybody has, they can say whatever it is they want to say. They can feel however they want to feel. It's their feelings. It has nothing to do with me. But when you keep coming at me and you keep coming at me, I'm not going to be the bigger person and ignore it. I will ignore it the first time, the second time, and then the third time, I'm coming at you. I'm responding.
Because before we started the conversation, you were like, I didn't know that garnering a huge following also comes with haters.
It does. I'm at 59,000 right now. And that is a big number, and it also has a lot of haters. I see them, I just ignore them.
Yeah. Among us, the things that you are doing right now, Diana, what are the things that you feel like you might have really wanted to do from the time you were a kid?
I've always, I wish I did more public speaking. I used to do how do we call them? We used to call them the drama festivals. But I wasn't very confident as a kid. I wasn't. I wish I was confident from as early as when I knew to talk or to express myself. I wasn't. I'm just now learning to stand up for myself. I never knew that you can actually stand up for yourself and say no to people.
Oh.
Yes.
Let us draw back a bit. What is it that might have taken away your confidence now that you're an adult, and I'm assuming you've taken time to look at your younger self? What are the things that you feel like may have stripped away your confidence?
I was considered weak because I was always sickly. And there are things that kids do that I wasn't allowed to do, like doing sports, especially the ones that need a lot of energy. I wasn't allowed to. I had a surgery when I was a kid. I think that is where it all started. They were just removing my appendix. Unfortunately, they did it wrong and they had to do it like 3 times. Wow. So I was in hospital for a minute. So from that time, everybody, kept looking at me like, this is a very vulnerable kid. And then my immunity was so low, I get attacked by malaria, typhoid, anything that was attacking the country had to get me. So most of the time I was sick.
Anything that was attacking the country.
Yes, most of the time I was sick. I missed my classes, and to me, it made me feel like I wasn't like other kids, So that took away my confidence, a lot of it. I felt like I can't do this. If these other kids are doing it and I'm not even allowed to do it, then I'm not like them. So I think that took a lot from me.
And mentioning yourself as an author,
Mm-hmm.
how did you tap into the space of writing books?
I think that is the way that I express myself. That is how I used to express myself even as a child. I have anytime my I felt like my mom or my dad had done something wrong to me or my siblings, I'd go and write it down.
Write it down where?
Because,
in a journal?
Yes, I had exercise books, a lot of them, that I used to write stuff in there. Then I hide them, and then I feel like someone might find them. I go and destroy them. I burn them because I didn't want people to know what I was writing,
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I could go and sit my mom and tell her, Mommy, I feel like you're doing ABCD, which you shouldn't. So I just go and write them down, but I was afraid. What if my mom finds this? How is she going to react, or how is she going to take this? Then now I'd go and burn them. But I was always writing.
And now you have yourself a book that invited backlash in the morning.
I do.
Till death do us part.
This book has opened doors.
Besides the journaling, and I assume journaling is entirely personal.
Yes.
How did you come to a place of feeling like, you know what, I think what I write is now ready for public consumption?
Let me take you back. I started writing on social media in 2015. In 2015 is when I had my first major heartbreak by Omondi.
We're saying names. There's only one Omondi known African-wide, Eric Omondi. Do we call him out?
No, not him. The one I write about a lot.
Omondi. He should do better.
Yes. I suffered a major heartbreak. And along with it came a lot of other losses. It wasn't just the heartbreak. I lost everything. I had a job. Then I came to Uganda actually. At the time, I had acquired a few businesses here and there. Then while in Uganda, I lost everything. So I lost the love of my life. I lost my businesses. I came home to nothing,
How did this happen?
There's a backstory there, a story for another day. But there was a problem at work. Then now I had to travel to Uganda for the same. And it was during that period of about 2 weeks that I was away that Omondi broke up with me. I had started a kayak. I'd buy cars from insurance, the ones that had been written off, then repair them for sale.
Mm-hmm.
So I had acquired quite a few. And I was also into farming. I had done wheat farming of about 40 acres in Narok.
Whoa.
Yes. So all my resources had gone into these two projects. Then now I'm away and my brother is calling me. He's like, something is wrong. There are things that are not adding up. And when I get back home, I find that all the cars that were in the kayak are sold. No cents to my name. All the wheat has been harvested because you don't harvest the wheat yourself and then sell it. You sell it while it's still in the farm for the companies that buy. It's not individuals who buy the wheat. It's companies that buy. So they buy and then they come and harvest for themselves. So I don't know which company came and bought the wheat, and I didn't see a single shilling. This guy sent me like 20K for a project that I had invested more than $500,000.
Who sent you the 20,000?
Omondi. It was a joint project. It was my project, but because at that time he didn't come to my home. Like we were on another. I don't know if to call it a step closer to marriage or something. We were doing a lot. I was doing a lot of my projects with him. They were not joint projects, but he was involved in all of my projects. So he knew this is what happens, this is what happens, and this is what happens. He had shares in the wheat project, but not as much as I did.
And then you got you got peanuts.
I don't even call it peanuts. I didn't get anything. I got lunch. No, I got coffee out of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so you can imagine, I was like Job of the Bible, like you've lost everything you hold dear at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
That was one of the darkest moments of my life. I write a lot about Omondi and some of the things that happened while we were together, but I've really never written about what happened that broke the camel's back. So
Wow.
I think you're hearing it for the first time.
Wow. It's wild.
It is.
What does this get to teach you going forward?
I think my biggest undoing was I wasn't confident in myself because like going into the wheat, I didn't feel like I could do it on my own, you know?
Right.
I needed someone to do it with me. Looking back, I think most of my life I have lived like I needed someone to assure me that whatever it is you're doing, you're doing the right thing or you're going to succeed. So leading to that moment where I had to involve him in all my projects, it was because I was afraid. Like, I can't do this on my own. I don't know much about cars. So I need someone who knows about cars so that I don't fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is something I'm trying to seek clarity on that. Is this something that we're seeing from your childhood experiences?
Yes. I think it's something that started as a kid because, you know, I used to compare myself to other kids.
And
Their foods I wasn't allowed to eat. And looking back, I think my parents were just concerned about my health because they knew I have stomach issues. So they'd be like, no, you cannot eat beans or githeri or this or that because you will constipate and stuff like that. But at that time, I didn't understand why. Now I do. Now I understand. But back then, I didn't. It affected how I grew up and how I became so dependent on people.
Yeah. And now it's unfolding in your adulthood.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we get
it's a learning curve.
It is definitely a learning curve. Someone on the podcast, I think I don't know, I'm not very sure if it was during the conversation I had with him on the podcast or off air. He said that some mistakes, I think, are expensive, but they are saving you from a bigger loss in the future, something like that. Yeah, because he also lost money in some works. And the lesson he says that he walked away with was that that's how much he paid for that kind of education. And he was like,
I can resonate with that person really.
It's like, that's how much because it was millions of money. And it was like, this is how much I've paid in tuition to learn that lesson. Going forward, I'll do this and this. Yeah,
I can resonate with that person because for me, I say it was the dependency on people. Like if we'd go on a trip, let's say a group of us, if one of us is not going, you know, we say like, let's go out and people don't want to go out, but I want to go out. I wouldn't go out because these people are not going out, you know?
Yeah.
If I want to go and see something and I don't have someone to go with, I wouldn't go. I will stay in the house because who am I going to go with? Now I have grown out of that cocoon.
Man, you were touring Dubai on your own.
On my own. Even my host was shocked. He was like, I have organized a lot of trips for people, but I have never seen something like this. Because these people always want a tour guide. Like, if you're not able to take us round, get us someone. We don't mind paying that person. I told him, that money you want to pay somebody to take me around, give it to me. I'll be my own tour guide.
Making extra bucks.
Yes, I know how to get to the metro. I know how to get a cab. I know how to get back into the bed. I know how to get back to where you are or to my hotel room. Or I know how to order my food. I know how to go from city A to city E, Z. Why should I need someone to show me around?
Yeah.
I have a phone and it has Google Maps.
I'm such a huge coward. You're gonna find me in a new country, and I'm going to be indoors full time. Yeah.
I used to be you. But now I'm not.
Let us get to the book.
The book.
Till Death Do Us Part.
Yes.
Why this title?
This title was like the last title on my mind. My initial title was The Mechanic. Actually, when I wrote the book, the title, on my laptop, it's still there. It's The Mechanic. Because I was writing about a mechanic.
I was actually going to ask you, when you talked about one of the businesses that you lost, being involving all that, cars and things.
No. The book has nothing to do with that.
I'm definitely going as far as, okay, how much of Tara is you?
Like maybe 20%.
Is it?
Yes. I also ignored red flags, so I think we have that in common.
Oh my God, that part.
Yes. A lot of people ignore red flags. It's not just me. It's something that I've had a lot from people who've read this book. Like, I may not have gone through Tara went through, but I saw the red flag the way she did, and I ignored them. Yes.
When I was that was my first reaction when I read the introductory pages, because what was the guy's name again? James? Was it?
Joe.
I'm gonna be beefing old Jaws. So
a lot of Joes don't like me. They say I painted them badly. I need a saving grace.
in the first pages that I flipped, I noticed that I could be Tara, but maybe not to the lengths that it went. I don't know, man, because sometimes you can't even tell. Sometimes even when you're telling your survivor's story, you're also in disbelief. You're like, how did I let that pass?
I know. But how did I let this happen?
Yeah. There was that chapter where I think you said a little too fast. And I was like, no, it is not a little. That is very fast. Some of the things that were unfolding at a very fast pace, I'm like, what?
It is crazy. I read the book. I've read it a lot of times, and sometimes I read a chapter and I'm like, wait a minute. This is very familiar. This is very familiar. We ignore red flags. A lot of people, not only women but men as well. Yeah. We ignore red flags.
What significance does the title hold for you?
There are things that we don't know how to let go until they're dead. Like, if I can use my example, I didn't know how to live without Omondi. I didn't know how to exist outside of that relationship until it was dead. There are so many people who do not know how to walk away from situations that they can walk away from until that situation is dead. You don't know how to let go until that something is dead. And if you had let go from the beginning, it could have saved you a lot. But because we do not know how to let go, we do not know how to exist out of some of the situations that we have made for ourselves, because these are situations we've created for ourselves, like relationships. You find like someone is in an abusive relationship, but they cannot walk away because they do not know how to exist outside of that abusive relationship. They don't know if they can survive without that person. They have conditioned their mind to such levels of dependency on what is happening to them. So the only way for them to be free is for this situation to be dead. And sometimes it takes something really big. Something has to give for this person to finally walk out of it.
When I first saw the title, for a long time, I had complained about the vow till death do us part. And this is mostly directed to the Catholic faith that I subscribe to, because we have this common practice or belief that divorce shouldn't be considered. And I had a problem with that because people are possibly waiting for the other person to die to go separate ways.
We also have it in it. Yeah, it's like if you divorce, then that is a sin. I think what people should be taught is that if you stay in a situation that is not healthy for you, then it's a sin. People should be empowered to know when and things that they can take. Don't stay with a toxic person because your church says divorce is. Don't stay with an abusive person because your church says your religion says you shouldn't get a divorce.
Right.
I also have a problem with that with my church, the SDA church, because there's a chapter that says if you divorce, it talks a lot about divorce, and people have taken it so much that you should not. You're a Christian. Why are you divorcing and you're a Christian? It makes
funny.
me so angry.
Yeah. Why you're a Christian? Why are you divorcing it? You're a Christian. It's ridiculous. Yes. When I saw the title, what it communicated to me was that discomfort and I knew, or maybe I had gotten hints that it revolved around abuse. And for me, I was mostly focusing on this kind of abuse that goes on in family settings where people can no longer stand each other, but because they are tied by the prescriptions of the church, they feel like we're stuck in this until death do us part. Yeah. So what inspired you to write Tara's story? What personal experiences may have influenced the narrative?
I always knew my first book was going to be about domestic violence. I have 3 other manuscripts, but I knew my first book was going to be about domestic violence because it's something that I'm passionate about. Growing up, we had a neighbor who used to drink. Then he'd come and beat his wife. Every day she'd run and hide in my mom's bedroom.
Every day.
The guy would come every single day. And the man would come and stand outside our door and he'd tell my mom, she can hide in there for all she wants, but she's my wife and she's going to have to come back home. Wow. My dad never used to stay home. He used to work outside most of the time. He's a retired doc, so he was really never home. But every single day, this man could beat his wife, and she'd run and hide in our home. And the husband would come for her, and he'd go like, "You can keep her there, but eventually she will come home." Every single day. I used to look at this woman, and I used to feel so bad for her because this is all the life she knew. Even as a kid, I used to feel bad for her. Like, why should you get beaten like that every day? And you're a grown woman. You're not a kid.
Right.
So this man comes home drunk every day and he beats you, but you cannot go anywhere because society forbids you from going back to your parents because you have children. You have maybe 5 children or 6 or 7 children. Where are you going to go with your children? So it forces you to stay in your abusive marriage because the society has conformed you to be there.
Right.
It used to anger me. And I used to ask my mom, why can't she go back to her home, to her parents? And my mom will tell me, I wish she could, but not everybody has a grandpa like you do. Like, because my grandpa was very vocal, and he was one of those people who'd never take such kind of bullshit from anyone for his children.
That part.
Yes.
The dynamics in families, the differences.
The different dynamics in families. If something happened to my mom, anytime she had an argument with my dad, my grandpa would be there with his car, ready to take my mom and us to his home. He was like, I'll just go with my daughter and my grandchildren. I don't have a problem. I'll give them a place to stay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I really feel like if we had a lot of people who were like my grandpa, probably the society could have been much better, because this woman never had anywhere to go. Like, you ask her, like, see, you just go back to your home, and it's like, and do what? And take all these children where? Until the husband died. That is when the beating ended.
Can you imagine?
Yes. So she lived all her life in violence.
Do you feel like you did a lot of research to build the characters in the book?
Yes, I did. And also, when I was in college, I went to stay with my brother here in Nairobi. He had a neighbor. This girl had her first kid in high school. She got married to her high school sweetheart, I think immediately after they sat for their KCSE exam. This guy used to beat the hell out of her. That was the first time I experienced it closely. You see, like this lady from back home, I never saw the husband beating her, but you could know when he was getting home, because he used to shout, and then you'd hear them fighting, and then she runs to our home. I never witnessed it. But now for my brother's neighbor, I saw it. I saw it more than once. Every single day he'd come home, he'd beat this girl. By now she had 2 kids. She had a daughter and a son, and he'd come and beat her every single day. He wasn't doing anything in the house other than paying rent. This girl's family bring her food and shopping and other things for the babies, but still she'd get battered every single day. And the neighbors used to look at them and say nothing. So I started talking to her, because I felt like, hey, this is too much. This is too much for one person. And I was asking her, why don't you just go to your parents? Because they had houses, like, she didn't come from a poor family that you'd say, if I go back, what will I feed my children, or what will happen, So I started talking to her, and we became friends. Then one time I told her, you know what? If you continue staying here, this guy is going to kill you. Yeah. And that day, the sisters came and they took her home. I remember carrying her bags. I was so happy for her, like, finally, you live with this man. You deserve better. Mm-hmm. We got to their home. 1 week later, she was back. And that became the cycle for close to 6 months.
What did that do to you? Did you ever get to a point where you felt exhausted?
Yes, I did. At some point I was like, you know what? When you start fighting, I'm not going to come and try to separate you or try to help you. But then you're in the house, because I never used to really stay with my bro. I used to stay in the hostel, so I used to go to just visit him when I didn't want to be in the hostel. Then you get to the house, 5 minutes in, and someone is being beaten like a drum, and you can't just sit there because you feel their pain. The kids are crying. So I'd find myself going. And this guy will tell me, one day I'm going to beat you.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to beat you. I used to be so scared, but I didn't know how to stop going there when they were fighting.
What made you confident that you wouldn't get beaten?
My brother used to go to the gym. So one time he was home, this chick, I went and told her, come to our house. You come and hide in our house. So she came. And then this guy comes and is like, today you will know who I am. I'm going to beat the hell out of you. Then he came and found my brother, and my brother was like, "You want to meet who?" So my brother told him, "If I ever see you looking at my sister, if I ever see you even breathing in her direction, I will fight you." And looking at you and me, you have no chance, because the guy was much smaller than my brother. You have no chance. I will beat you until you go back to your ancestral land, and you will never step in Nairobi again. So for that, he used to be afraid of me, I'd say. So it gave me some confidence. So I'd go to their house and, tell this lady, "Come, let's go." And then I'd escort her to her home. And a week later, she's back. The sisters tried to talk to her, but it was futile. So one time, the guy beat her so bad, she had a broken skull. We took her to the hospital. She was unconscious. When she came by, I told her, "You know what? You have 2 kids and you're going to die, and you're going to leave them, and you do not know how they are going to grow up." And I told her, "I'm done. This is a lot for me. I can't do it." I actually left my brother's house. I didn't want to be there anymore because it was a lot. I went back to my hostel. Then she called me. She was like, "I need you to come. I need you to get me something." So I went back. She had packed everything. She had gotten a ticket to Mombasa through the sisters, and she went to Mombasa that same day. She was discharged from hospital. She went to Mombasa and she never came back.
It gives you some kind of rest as well.
It did. So I felt like, yes, people, she was so young, so she didn't know how to exist outside of this. It's my first boyfriend. We have a child together, and now I've gotten used to being beaten. I don't know how to live outside of this environment that I've created for myself. And there was that the regret, like my parents told me, don't get married too young, but you keep doing the same things that your parents told you not to do. You go back home, they beat you, this guy comes and gets you, and your parents tell you this guy is no good for you. They take you home. He comes and confuses you. You go back to him. There's that. I think it messes with your mind in a way that you feel like you are beyond redemption. Like you deserve whatever that is happening to you for not heeding to the advices that you've been given before.
Right.
For her, I felt like she was doing it because she felt like she deserved it. And it's one of the characters that I put in Tara, because there's a point you see that when she sees that Joe had gone through some stuff in his life, she felt like, oh, maybe this person can be saved. There's always some good in everybody.
At some point,
Mm-hmm.
we want to really point fingers at Joe and things like that. And even for the people that feel like, for the Joes that feel like you did a character assassination on their name, I feel like if we really sat and had a clear conversation on the book, we would have an understanding of the frustrations that this guy carries with him. Perhaps, because now for me in the book, I'm seeing someone who does not have probably healthy way to express himself, where he is not hard from childhood. He's put away when something wrong goes. When something goes wrong, he's put away in school, in boarding school, and then things just keep unfolding. They're speaking over him, where he could probably want to make a choice and live his life. He cannot do that. He cannot do that. He is basically a puppet. And the only place where he exerts his authority is on Tara.
Yes.
Perhaps he could love her, but then there are these demons that he's also struggling with.
He didn't know how to. Yes.
Yeah.
He didn't have that capacity, because I think the biggest monster in the book is Joe's mom.
Exactly. I would agree with you.
because everything that happened to him was as a result of her. And when we look, I didn't write a lot about her, but the bits that I did that showed like from where she came from, I have seen a lot of women who are so aggressive. You've been born into so much poverty that you want to get out of it, and it doesn't matter who you step on or where you pass or what happens on the way or the damage that you cause. You have a goal, and that is the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So for Jo's mom, she really wanted to fit in a society that she had created in her mind, like the affluence. That comes with a price. She was willing to pay anything and everything for it. And this is a lot of women in our society today.
The time when I asked you about what gave you the confidence to keep going back to save this woman from the abuse that she was experiencing, I think what you portrayed in the book almost feels unprecedented on my part, because in many cases, I know of someone who steps in for their friends, let me say, or relatives. And the person either goes back or they are truly, truly saved and they never get back to the abusive relationship. And both characters are possibly saved, or the person who is on the receiving end of the abuse sadly loses their life. But for the people that usually intervene, I don't think I've seen someone or had a story of them losing their life because they were trying to save someone from an abusive relationship. That's the reason why I mostly asked you what gave you the confidence, because I don't know, had you heard of any stories where someone was injured?
Yes. When doing the research on domestic abuse in Kenya, there's a lady who lost her hand. The husband chopped, was it one or two? I can't remember, but I know she lost her hand. And then there's another lady who died. The sister went in to save this person and she was badly hurt. I think she lost her life. Even the girl that sort of inspired this book, I remember one time the sister came and the guy beat her and the sister. He beat the sister so bad, she had a swollen eye for days. Like, it was bad. By the time the neighbors came to intervene and stop this guy, he had grabbed a knife, he wanted to stab them. So if the neighbors who were available around at that particular moment had not intervened, probably these two girls could have died on that day. So there are people who've lost their lives. Sometimes the statistics, if you go into the villages, I worked for an NGO back in the day, it used to deal with domestic violence victims, and the statistics were so bad. Sometimes they don't make it to the media, but people lose lives. Like, if I see like my sister is being beaten, I'll try to intervene. This guy will beat the both of us. There's a lady who lost two sisters to one of the sisters' husbands. So I had a few cases where people lost their lives trying to help. So when I brought in the best friend character, it was actually from several of the statistics that I had gathered. People lose it's only that a lot of these cases don't get to the media. Very few cases get to the media. Like, I'd say domestic violence could be about 3 or 4% or maybe 5%.
When you were writing Tara's story, what did you hope for the readers to take away from her journey?
To see the red flags for what they are and be able to walk away.
That part.
Yes. If you feel like there's a chapter that Tara could have walked away when she met Jo's parents for the first time, and they sat in this room and they were having a conversation, and she knew the kind of childhood this guy had. I wish, as a writer, I wish she had walked away from that moment.
I feel like that's a harder one. For me, that's a harder one, because somewhere your compassionate buttons have been pressed a bit.
Yes.
First of all, this is someone that you care about. And to hear that they have gone through
something so horrible.
Something so horrible and on their own without being supported.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely your compassionate buttons are pressed. The first time she had to leave was the first time she was beaten.
Yes.
And this is something, you see, we talk about the conversation was launched by Omondi. But there are some lessons that I carry around from my exes. And the one most important one, which also came from someone who was emotionally abusive, but he was like, if anyone ever raises his hand at you, even if they have not gone through with hitting you, but they just raise their hand,
walk away.
Next time they're going to beat you up.
Badly again.
That's
Walk
something
away.
that just stuck in my head.
You see, when you start reading the book, you can actually pick anger issues with Joe.
A lot.
Right from the beginning. So if Tara saw the anger, the flashes of anger, we've gone out, I want to go back home, but this guy wants me to go to his place, and I say, no, I want to go back home. He's angry. I've gone out with my colleagues, and he comes and is so upset. I should be able to see that this person has anger issues.
Mm.
I don't want to have to put up with his anger issues. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Those are some of the red flags that she ignored. And I think a lot of us have that. Deep down, he's a good person and maybe I can change him. Even when we know that person is shit. We are not going to change him.
No, my dear.
We are not going to change him.
That's the way how I've laughed is the way how I usually laugh when I hear that. I'm like,
he's a good person. It's only that sometimes he becomes violent. No, that's a violent person.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
It is.
What was the most challenging aspect of writing this book?
Writing down the violence.
How so?
Because when you're writing, you put yourself in the book. Every emotion you write, you feel it. Every single emotion that you write, you feel it. So I'm writing about all the abuse that she was enduring, the beating, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and you feel it. And I'd go to bed and I couldn't sleep because I'm thinking like, what the hell did I just write? I know. And then there's a point, I didn't want to write much about religion, but there's a point that I think there's a chapter I wrote about how Tara turned to her God, and she was praying, and she was praying with this pastor on TV because she wasn't allowed to go anywhere. And she was having a conversation with the pastor on phone, and he kept telling her, you have to pray for your husband. Mm-hmm. You have to buy anointing oil for your husband.
Oh my goodness.
More manipulation. Put it on him in his food. Those are things I have seen. I have gone to church with my auntie because I wanted to see, where do you get this kind of faith? You go to church, you don't have anything. You only have 100 shillings between you and starving, and you go and buy anointing oil, to dedicate your house or your children because one of your sons drinks alcohol. What is that? And the pastor will be there telling you, if your child drinks alcohol, you need to buy anointing oil and put it in his food. And you pray for him and you dedicate him to God. And to dedicate him means you give money to the church.
Oh, wow.
To me, that is a lot of bullshit. And I tell people, we can do better. We can be better, especially if you're a Christian. Don't let religion fool you. People make choices. You're not going to make someone stop drinking alcohol by applying anointing oil on them. You're not going to change someone's character by applying anointing oil on them or giving your pastor money because now this money is specifically for this person to stop being a bad person.
I feel like there are many pastors that do not have practical solutions to problems.
A lot of them.
And unfortunately, they never really accept that.
They don't.
They want to appear like they have all the answers. And it's a detriment to their followers.
It is. I have gone to a lot of churches. I'm born and raised at DA, but I don't know what makes me go to these other churches out of curiosity or something. I went to Winners Chapel. I'll call that one. I went to Winners Chapel, and while there, the pastor comes and says, "Today we are going to pray dangerous prayers."
Dangerous.
If anybody has, yes, that is I will never forget. I think I even wrote about it. I will never forget that day. The pastor came and said, "Today we are going to pray dangerous prayers.
Oh.
If your supervisor at work is giving you a hard time, we are going to size them down."
Oh my goodness.
We are going to size them down, and people are there. Yes, come in. I mean, and if you look around, a lot of these people are women.
Yeah.
You go to church, 90% of the population is women. Is your husband giving you a hard time at home? Today we are going to size him down. Does he have other women? We are going to cut those other women into tiny slices. I'm like, bro, really? And the person I had gone to church with was going out with a married man. And he was there praying. When the pastor said, "If your husband is going out with her side chicks and all these other women, we are going to consume them with fire."
What did she do?
What is that? She was praying. I mean, it was one of the most ridiculous things I have ever seen.
When you look at Till Death Do Us Part, what kind of feedback has been coming in from the readers that has mostly resonated with you?
A lot of people have told me how they are partly Tara because they have gone through things that they could have avoided. Yeah. I've had 3 survivors of domestic violence who came and told me some of the things I wrote about they could resonate with, especially the physical abuse, the rape in marriages. I wrote about that, and emotional abuse, and the fact that they did not get the kind of support that they could have wished to get, because for them, their mothers-in-law were not, telling their sons, like, "No, do not beat your wife or do that."
Yeah.
They were always blaming them. "What did you do? You must have done something to anger him, to make him do this." They are victim shaming. Like, what did you say to him? If you stop doing things that make him upset, he will stop beating you, So I've had a few people, not a few, a lot of people who've identified with some of the traits and some of the characters in Tara, I saw the red flags, but I ignored. I've gone through domestic violence, but I survived. I've gone through domestic rape, but I survived. I've lost a child, I survived. And, people lose things. In such cases, you'll find that someone has lost something so valuable to them. It may not be a child, it may not be an eye, but people lose. And, sometimes you lose something so valuable to you that by the time you walk out, you are empty.
That's true.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of people who have resonated with the book, especially with Tara, and they feel like they could, if they could go back in time, they could have done things differently.
I believe any one of us can be Tara. That's what the first pages showed. Like, because 1 minute you feel like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you stayed in an abusive relationship? And then in the first pages, you feel heated. You're like, when is Joe coming back? Yeah.
And the fact that you blame yourself, like, was it my mistake? Did I, Then that's when we start losing it.
What does self-care look like for you as a writer?
So as a writer, I'm learning now to take time off when the emotions are too much.
Yeah.
I take time off, do other things, fun things, take Jabali for lunch, and avoid my laptop, stay away from it until I feel like I am ready to write again. Because like for the short stories that I'm compiling now, those are true life stories from people. The dark secrets. People have secrets out here. People have dark secrets out here, and it's a mess. But I'm happy that these are people who've gone through their dark moments, and they've come to light. By the time someone comes and tells you their story, they have gone through the storm. They've come out of it. They survived.
Right.
I have done 7 stories. So I took a break. The whole of April, I didn't write.
We are 1 week into May now.
Yes, I started writing today.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I started my 8th story today because I want to launch the book on my birthday, which is on 16th of August. So between now and August, I'll see if I can do 4 more stories because I want the book to have between 12 and 15 books. 12 and 15 stories.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I wish you the very best for your next project.
Thank you.
What was the one the listener to walk away with?
Always choose you. Choose your peace of mind. It doesn't matter who you're carrying off. If it doesn't come with your peace of mind, it is not worth it. I'll give them a personal story. This is it's something that happened when I was in Dubai. A cousin of mine called me. She's there. She was like, "Oh, I didn't know you're in Dubai, but now that you're here, there's stuff I need you to take for me home." I said, "Fine," because I didn't go with a lot of luggage. I carried food for people. I went with 2 suitcases and a carry-on, and it was full of food. Only the carry-on had my clothes, and I carried very little clothes. So I get there, I tell her, "Yeah, fine, I can carry stuff for you home." And she was like, "Where are you staying?" I was staying in the 4 Points by Sheraton. It doesn't come cheap. It's a prestigious hotel. So she was like, "Very nice. Let me come there so that you buy me dinner." I'm like, "Bro, I don't have money for that. I don't have a budget for that. I'm a hustler. I'm here to hustle. I'm here to sell my book, number 1. Number 2, you're my host. You're the one who stays in Dubai. You're the one who should call me and buy me dinner, not the other way around. Just because you heard I'm staying in this place, now you want to come and, you're trying to take advantage of me, and I'm not going to allow it." So on the day that I'm coming back, I was supposed to come back on Thursday, but because of the alerts by the Dubai people, because of the flooding and the rains, I tried to push my flight to Wednesday. So we are supposed to meet on Wednesday with my cousin so that she can give me her stuff to bring to her kids. She inconveniences me. She wants me to go to where she is. I tell her I cannot come there. I have a meeting with because now Access Travels, I'm the brand ambassador. So ideally, they're my boss. So right. I have a meeting with these people. I can't make to come to where you are. I wanted to buy a suitcase for Jabali. They have really nice suitcases that have cartoons and stuff. So I tell her, "Can you go to any shop? I know there are so many shops, and try to get me this suitcase, then I'll pay for it." She goes, I don't know which shop she goes into, and she doesn't find what I want. But also, she doesn't have, her luggage is not packed. So she's bringing me stuff in a paper bag. And it's a lot of stuff.
Wow.
So I tell her, you do what? Just buy any suitcase, I'll pay for it. She buys for me a very small suitcase. When she gets to the airport, because now my boss is dropping me. When we get to the airport and she comes there, the stuff cannot fit in the suitcases that I have. And she has that attitude, you look at someone and you're sizing them up, and you have a lot of attitude, and it's so bad, anybody around could see it, and people were looking at us. I felt really bad, because why are you showing my boss attitude like that? You do not know him. You've just met for the first time, and this is the impression you want to leave. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't travel on Wednesday, so I had to travel on Tuesday because the pushback did not affect. So they dropped me back at my hotel, but first we dropped my cousin where she stays.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good distance. So now I get back to my hotel. My boss tells me, you know what? You're going to get a bigger suitcase so that you put all your stuff. It will be easier for you. So the following morning, I have the whole day. I go get a new suitcase, a bigger suitcase. I come back. Because of the squeezing we did at the airport, a lot of my things are spoiled. My shower gel is poured, like all of it, and it's a body and bath, so it didn't come cheap. But everything is spoiled. So I call my cousin and tell her, I know I'm supposed to send you some money, but I've had to get a bigger suitcase, and all of my things are really spoiled. So I'll get home, then I'll send you. It's like 2,000 Kenyan bob. That's like 60 dirham, 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Then when now arranging her stuff, she had like how many perfumes? More than 10, because she was sending them for sale. My other cousin comes to get me at the airport because of the customs. She had to pay, so I gave her some money to pay. I get home less than an hour. My cousin in Dubai is calling, and she's like, I don't know what kind of a person you are, but you said you were going to pay for the suitcase. And I sat down while waiting for you and
Wow.
had I don't know what and what. So you're supposed to send me that money as well. So I'm like, whoa, can you just chill? I just gave this other cousin some money to clear your stuff.
Wow.
And she will send you the money. That's no problem. I've told her instead of returning it to me, she will send it to you. So she went off on me.
Wow.
Badly. I said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to block you. It doesn't matter if you're my cousin or my sister or whatever it is that you are to me. I'm not going to let you come between me and my peace. So I blocked her. I called my other cousin and told her, you know what? When you get that money, send it to so-and-so. I'm done with her. I have blocked her. And the reason I'm telling this story is because that is one of the growth that I have come to. 2 years ago, I could not have done something like that. I could have possibly borrowed from someone to pay her if I didn't have the money. Yes. I could have possibly borrowed from someone to just pay her and wait for the other one. Because, we are clearing your stuff. It's not mine. The inconvenience should not fall on me. It's on you. These are your things. My things were not flagged by the customs. My things were okay. The perfumes are yours. That is why they were flagged, and because there are many, you need to pay for it. I've paid half of the money for you, so why can't you just wait? 2 years ago, I could have possibly cried when she called. She told me I'll die a poor person.
It went to that?
It was bad. It was really bad. So 2 years ago, I could have cried. I could have called my father. I could have called everybody to cry. But today, I just blocked her. If she gets another line to text me, I will still block her. If we meet at a family event, I will still block her because I will just I will fast like I don't know her, because why do you want to eat into my peace?
Right.
So I'd want people to learn to stand up for themselves. If you feel like this person is not regarding me how they should, cut them off. It's not worth it. Nothing is worth your peace of mind.
That's true.
Nobody is worth your peace of mind.
Thank you so much for that, Diana.
You're welcome.
I'll let you go. And Do
Thank
enjoy your evening. I'm happy we finally did this.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Run to Jabali, he has been calling for you.
Oh, I told you don't have kids. That boy wants to call me every 5 minutes. Mommy. It's as if I'm going to disappear.
Well, you aren't around, so.
I am here. I'm basically in the next room.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us to the very end. If you loved this episode, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Castbox, Podbean, or any other podcast platform of your choice. It is by the power of our community that we shall make this podcast grow. Also, feel free to share your insights about what connected with you on social media and tag us. We are at #WeNoveGozichwanka on Facebook and Instagram, and on X, our handle is at HTNK Podcast, or you can use the hashtag HTNK in session. And for those on YouTube, do not forget to comment.